Guyana's president says he won't be rushed into calling elections. And in sport, the Reggae Girls World Cup campaign ends. I'm Ricardo Roberts, and this is Caribbean in 10 for Wednesday, June 19th, 2019. I'll be back with the details after the break. Guyana's President David Granger will not be pressured into calling elections before the country's electoral body is ready, following the Caribbean Court of Justice's ruling yesterday that the no-confidence motion passed against the government last December was valid. Opposition leader Barack Jagdeo said the Opposition People's Progressive Party, the PPP, will press for Guyanese to go to the polls within 2 to 3 months. But in an address to the nation shortly after the CCJ judgment was handed down, President Granger reminded that the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, first has to complete a house-to-house registration to compile a new voters list and therefore would not be ready before November. Now, speaking to reporters this morning, he said he wants credible elections as soon as possible, but he was adamant the house-to-house registration must be completed for that to happen.
As soon as the chairman of GECOM advises me that they are ready for elections, I will make a proclamation. Election day will be on that date. It is my duty, it's not the duty of the leader of the opposition to decide when elections will be held. I don't want a situation like we had in Nigeria, in which 2 o'clock in the morning, the election commission calls up the government and says election can't be held. GECOM has to inform me, and as soon as I get that information, I will make a proclamation.
As for the CCJ's ruling that Granger's unilateral appointment of GECOM chairman retired Justice James Patterson was flawed and not in keeping with the Constitution, the president said he did not agree, but he said he would seek to have discussions with the opposition leader on the matter as the CCJ recommended. The Trinidad and Tobago government is already in the process of deporting Venezuelans who are in the country illegally following last week's end of amnesty for nationals of the South American country. National Security Minister Stuart Young said yesterday that now the 2-week registration process is over, the government is sticking to its position that those here illegally will be dealt with according to the law.
We said beforehand that we will be applying the laws of Trinidad and Tobago to all, after the registration process, all of the Venezuelans, and that is exactly what has been done. I spent some time yesterday evening in my office signing a number of deportation orders, and I don't want to say anything further with respect to those deportations.
Now, Minister Young said full details of the registration process and its costs will be provided once he gets that information. That will include the number of Venezuelan men, women, and children who were registered. Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit is calling on the regional private sector and other stakeholders to consider purchasing shares in cash-strapped airline Liat. Addressing a news conference last night following the 2-day meeting of OECS leaders, Skerrit said it was necessary for stakeholders to move beyond mere words regarding the survival of the airline. He says the continued complaints about the airline, which has been in existence for the past 38 years, is not going to solve the problems. Now, Skerrit added that the airline that employs over 600 people and operates 491 flights weekly across 15 destinations is vital to the continued development of the sub-regional and wider CARICOM grouping.
And I also believe that my regional colleagues I have recognized a couple have played a part, but we need to go beyond that as well and to consolidate their participation. But it is not enough to just say, well, that is this, that is that, and therefore, and come to the table. If you're not around the table, it's going to be very difficult for you to influence the decisions. And so if you're party to negotiations, if you're party to something, then the ideas which you have, can very well find themselves turn into decisions and actions.
And stay with us, your Midday Sport is next.
Welcome to this year's 50th Caribbean Broadcast Union Assembly on the island of San Andres. San Andres is a small archipelago located in between Jamaica and Panama in the Western Caribbean Sea. A lush, exotic island rich in culture, history, gastronomy, and breathtaking scenic views. Known for its beaches and 7-colored crystalline waters, the island of San Andres will be proudly hosting this year's event. CBU members will enjoy top-of-the-line accommodations for an unforgettable experience in San Andres, connecting Caribbean nations through this year's 50th edition of the CBU Assembly.
Norway-based midfielder Havana Solon netted Jamaica's first ever FIFA Women's World Cup goal yesterday, but that piece of history was overshadowed by Samantha Kerr's ruthless quadruple as the Reggae Girls crashed to a 4-1 defeat in their final match. Now, playing at the Stades des Alpes, Jamaica's hopes were dented as early as the 11th minute when Kerr peeled away from her defensive marker, Chantal Swaby, and headed in Emily Jalnick's floated across from the left side. Now, Kerr continued to terrorize the Reggae Girls' backline with her movement, and she doubled Australia's lead 3 minutes before the break, this time finding herself in the acres of space to once again beat goalkeeper Nicole McClure. And the 26-year-old Solon struck in the 49th minute after entering the contest at a halftime substitute to pull one back for the Reggae Girls, who trailed 2-0 at the break. Kerr grabbed her third in the 69th minute, stabbing home from close range after Jamaica's defense failed to clear, and Jamaica gifted her with a record fourth goal 7 minutes from the end when McClure made a hash of Konya Plummer's back pass for the 25-year-old to pounce from close range. And Jamaica, meanwhile, lost all 3 of their group games in the first ever World Cup to end of Group C, going down 3-0 to Brazil in their opener before losing 5-0 to Italy in their second game. And that's Caribbean. Heavy rain forced the abandonment of the opening T20 International of the 3-match series between England women and the West Indies women at Wantage Road, Northampton, England yesterday. No toss was possible as the weather kept players and officials off the field, and umpires Jeremy Lloyds and Rob Bailey eventually called time on the encounter, with conditions showing no signs of improving and the official cut-off time nearing. Now, West Indies will hope for better weather when they face England in the second T20I scheduled for the same venue on Friday. The Caribbean side will be keen on a strong showing in the shortest format after suffering a 3-0 whitewash in the preceding one-day international series, which formed part of the ICC Women's Championship. That's Caribbean in 10. Join us again at 6:30 for Caribbean Newsline. Until then, good afternoon.